All right, everybody, welcome in to another episode of the NFL Seekers podcast. Today, we'll be recapping week 10 of the NFL season. It was a crazy weekend. There were 6 games decided by a game-winning field goal this weekend, including tonight's, as we're recording this Monday night. The Bills lost to the Broncos off of game-winning field goal, and it was absolutely insane. One of the many insane games this weekend. How are you, Josh?
You know, I'm happy for you that your Broncos got the win off a game-winning field goal, but also a very, very devastating, brutal loss for my Chargers, who really, really needed this one and dropped it to the Lions in an absolutely electric one by a field goal with 0 remaining on the clock. So, from that standpoint, it hurts, but we bounced back in fantasy this week, so at least we're walking away with one positive.
You are, at least. I didn't win in fantasy, so at least you're walking away with a positive. And I honestly, the Chargers game was a positive for me personally. I took a lot of positives from that game, but we'll get into that soon. And you did win picks. Sadly, I am such a struggle. I don't think I've won picks since week 1. So there's that.
Hey, hold on. Let's just um
Crown yourself.
let's just make it official real quick. Be patient with me, everyone. Um we are gonna put it where it belongs. And there we go.
He's crowned himself.
Touchdown. Let's go. Another week of picks. Feels good. That's actually 2 positives. I didn't even know that until just barely. So feeling good. Feeling good going into this one.
Yeah, and I have nothing going for me this week, I guess, other than the Broncos, and even that they lose a draft position. So we'll get on to the stud and goof of the week segment, though. I'm excited to talk about our stud segment because there are a lot of studs this week. It was a big boom week in fantasy, and I wanted to mention some honorable mentions real quick. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, you have to mention. Dak Prescott was the number one highest scoring player in fantasy, barely over Keenan by like a point, and then Justin Herbert, I wanted to shout out him, obviously. Beautiful, beautiful performance. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, anyone in that Lions Chargers game, really. And then I really was thinking about giving Patrick Surtain the stud of the week. It would be our first defensive stud of the week because he completely shut down a whole half of the field with in a game that's involving Stephon Diggs, and he kind of made Stephon Diggs have his worst game in years. So yeah, just shout out to the Patrick Surtain. He's a star. But we'll get into our stud of the week. Keenan Allen. It has to be him. 11 receptions, 175 yards, 2 touchdowns, 40 and a half PPR fantasy points, and it's his second game this season with over 40 fantasy points. That's absurd. That shouldn't be a real stat. And yeah, I just feel like watching this game, Keenan looked like Keenan of 10 years ago. He just looked like prime Keenan. He looked so good. He had that it wasn't a game winning touchdown, but it was a game tying touchdown, and it was just such a high scoring, crazy game. And he didn't come away with the win, but it was a great performance.
Yeah, I mean, absolute electric from Keenan Allen. Anytime you're getting 40 over 40 points in fantasy from a wide receiver, that is just mind-boggling. 170 yards, 2 touchdowns. The guy's just a PPR machine with receptions. He's definitely the safety net blanket of Justin Herbert. And I mean, yeah, what an absolute week from Keenan Allen. They fall short in the end. I mean, when an offense scores 38 points, you think you'd win. Apparently you don't. When your defense regresses to its 2021 form. But yeah, Keenan Allen, absolute stud. But there's so many studs. And even shout out, I don't remember if you said Josh Dobbs in that, but Josh Dobbs definitely deserves a shout out for stud of the week because that dude is absolutely balling on Minnesota, and what a big win for the Vikings.
Yeah, he's our dog of the week for sure. He's such a dog. I love Josh Dobbs. So excited to talk about him. And we'll get on to our goof of the week real quick. I'll be honest, there wasn't a too big of a pool of players to pick for the goof of the week this week, but the Jaguars just overall performance. Trevor Lawrence throwing for 185 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and getting sacked 5 times, and losing to the Niners 34-3 at home, not even being able to get a touchdown. It was just a rough performance. He kind of phased himself out of fantasy lineups last week. I truly don't think you can start Trevor Lawrence in fantasy moving forward at all. And yeah, it was just a bad performance, and it's kind of scary moving forward.
Yeah, Trevor definitely is the goof of the week. And you could even put Travis Etienne. I mean, just the whole Jags in general, obviously, and that is Trevor, because he's their offense. And surgical Trevor just went out the door this week, and the Jags just looked pathetic. He couldn't get anything through the air. And me and you kind of knew this was coming in a sense. We didn't know it was going to be this bad to this extent, but wow. What an absolute beatdown by the 49ers coming off that bye in a must-need win game, just making Trevor Lawrence look silly. So sorry, Trevor, you got the goof of the week.
Yep. And with that, we'll just get right into our game recap segments. I'm really, really excited to talk about all the games this weekend. And we'll start off with the Carolina Panthers going into Chicago and losing to the Bears 16-13. Bears undrafted rookie from Shepherd College, Tyson Bagent, went and took down the first overall pick, Heisman Trophy winner from Alabama, Bryce Young. Crazy. The NFL is a crazy sport. But I did want to shout out Montez Sweat. I said in our preview episode, take his overs and underdog. He's going to have a good game, and he recorded 8 pressures in his first game as a Bear. So that's obviously awesome. That's the most recorded pressures by a Bears pass rusher since Robert Quinn in 2020. So yeah, that's awesome in his first game as a Bear. Love to see that. And I just feel like Bryce Young is just not competitive enough, even against the Bears. He just couldn't get it done. And the Bears look good. D'Onta Foreman had a great game. He's just an absolute beast. And Bagent's good. He's a serviceable quarterback. He'll get the job done.
Yeah, moral of the story, where you just put some kid from Shepherd College who we'd never even heard of a couple weeks ago. Just be Alabama Heisman Trophy winner, number 1 overall pick. Ridiculous, but that is the NFL, and a pretty gross game overall. Both offenses were a little stagnant and gross, but Tyson Bagent getting it done, getting the Bears their 3rd win of the season. And the defense, played good enough, and it was just overall a pretty gross game. But I mean, yeah, key positives: D'Onta Foreman. Doesn't matter what team that guy's on, he puts up numbers. Absolute stud. And from a fantasy aspect, a little bit disappointed, in the last few weeks in DJ Moore. Just doesn't seem like Bagent can really, I don't know. I mean, 5 for 58 is not bad, but on, I think it was 10 targets. It's just the volume would probably go up and be a little bit better with Fields when he's back on the field. But what are your fantasy takeaways from this one for the Panther side of the ball? I mean, does it look like Adam Thielen? People who traded him at the right moment, or do we think he's going to go up? I don't know.
My fantasy thoughts are Miles Sanders had 2 carries for -5 yards. That's just comical. I think that's just hilarious. Yeah, we'll give him a little round of applause. That's my fantasy thoughts. Miles Sanders, go snag him in all your leagues. No, I'm kidding. Really, you can drop Miles Sanders. I dropped him last week. He's not rosterable. And Chuba, you could start off volume, but I wouldn't start him. Like, this was against the Bears, and he had a terrible performance. So I really think every Panthers option is just scary, because Thielen and Chuba were their only 2 starters in fantasy, and they didn't perform against the Bears, which is one of the easier matchups they'll get all year. So if they're not going to perform in that matchup, I'm just scared. You have to start Thielen, I guess, but yeah, if you could trade him away, I would. It might be a little bit too late, but yeah. And on the Bears, DJ Moore, Cole Kmet, they're going to be good moving forward. Justin Fields will be back, and Khalil Herbert coming back this week is going to be awesome. He looked good before he got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how they split this backfield with Roschon and D'Onta Foreman. I think Roschon is going to get phased out a lot. It's just going to be interesting to see who gets the goal line work and everything, and the passing downs. But yeah, before Khalil Herbert got hurt in his last 2 games, he was looking like he was the real workhorse back, and was getting most of the receiving targets. So we'll see if that picks up. Definitely keep an eye out for Khalil Herbert. Maybe if you can trade for him this week, or do something, buy on the low before he goes off. Because I have a feeling Khalil Herbert might be worth a trade. Especially when running backs this season are such a struggle. But other than that, yeah, the fantasy in both of these are both kind of gross.
And you mentioned it could be Roschon getting phased out, but it could definitely be D'Onta Foreman getting phased out. He was the healthy and active like the first half of the season. So I don't know if he proved enough for them to roster him when Herbert's back, or if he's going to be back as a healthy scratch, and they'll keep Roschon like they did the first half of the season. I don't know. It'll be interesting.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, because I mean, Khalil Herbert kind of plays more of a D'Onta Foreman role for sure. So yes, watch out for that. That will be interesting to see how they move forward with those three.
Yeah, it's interesting because they have Travis Homer, who they kind of have to keep on their roster as a special teamer. So yeah, the Bears running back situation is interesting. They just monitor it, and that's kind of all the fantasy options you need to take away. We'll get on to the Germany game. The Colts play the Patriots, won 10-6, absolute defensive battle. So there's that. Mac Jones got benched. That's
On the
unfortunate.
final drive. On
Yeah.
the final drive.
Yeah, so if you missed the game, if you weren't up at 9:30 a.m. for this Colts Patriots game, Mac Jones played the entire game, wasn't doing too hot, had a terrible pick at the second to last drive, and then he got pulled for the very final game-winning drive for Bailey Zappi, and Bailey Zappi threw a pick too, because Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones are the same exact football player, so that makes sense. But yeah, exhilarating display of Minshew overthrowing people and Mac Jones being terrible. That's kind of what this Germany game was.
Yeah, this one was, I mean, from if you're an offensive guy and you appreciate points and excitement, this game wasn't for you. But if you're a defensive guy and you appreciate defensive masterclass, then maybe you actually enjoyed this one. But for me, at this time in the morning, it was an absolute snooze fest. It was pretty brutal and painful to watch these offenses just absolutely just not be able to move the football at all. I mean, what do we get? One total touchdown in this game from Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, just a snooze fest, and then that decision to bench Mac Jones on the final drive was very interesting by Bill Belichick. I mean, I get he has a bad interception, but you're really gonna go away from the guy that has been in the game the whole, just somebody who's just cold, who's just coming off the bench, who's just cold, who hasn't been in this game at all, and expect a better result. I don't know. That was kind of a weird decision, which I didn't really like personally. But I get it. But at the
It's
same time, I don't know.
it's the equivalent of throwing in a relief pitcher in the ninth inning in a huge game, and him just not letting him warm up, just throwing him in there and making him pitch. It's the equivalent.
Yeah. I didn't think that was a very classy act by Bill Belichick, and nor do I think it was the right decision. But I mean, who am I to say something to this guy who's won 7 Super Bowls or 6 Super Bowls with Tom Brady? Maybe it was Tom Brady was the maybe Tom Brady. Well, I think clearly at this point we could see that Tom Brady was what carried Bill Belichick through these years, because he's not looking like the same coach.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd say carried. They probably complement each other well, but yeah, Tom Brady was the higher up on the scale for sure. And yeah,
I put him a tier above, and then that's just me being rude to Bill Belichick this year, just because the team's a disaster and the
yeah.
way they built this offense. You can't have these 5-2 receivers. Make they're not all going to be Julian Edelmans without Tom Brady.
Yeah, and Mac Jones is not Tom Brady. And Bill was like frustrated all game. Like I could see why he took him out, because he was frustrated from like the first quarter on. And I get it, but yeah, and I didn't want to talk about the run game in this game. Like the Colts run D has gone soft after Grover Stewart got hurt. It was terrible. Ramondre is kind of just running free. He's a nasty, hard runner. He's an angry runner. I love Ramondre. And JT, he's so back. I love JT. Zach Moss with 1 carry. I do not want to see anyone ever starting Zach Moss again. I've been saying this for weeks. I don't want to start Zach Moss. And yeah, this 1 carry, you could drop Zach Moss. It's JT season. His touchdown was filthy. Great performance from JT, and I love to see it.
Yeah, brilliant from JT. Michael Pittman's looking like a very, very relevant fantasy player. Want to shout out Josh Downs for a heck of a catch at the end of the game that helped the Colts secure that victory. And then on the other side of the ball, man, Ramondre Stevenson was just running angry. That dude was just incredible. And to anyone that listened to Dan for the last couple of weeks, and when he's telling you to get Demario Douglas on your team, it looks like he really is that alpha Patriots wide receiver 1, and he's getting all the looks and all the targets. So if you listen to Dan and picked him up, you're definitely got a solid flex play for the rest of the season.
Yep, Demario Douglas was awesome. He's a start moving forward. Him and Ramondre, the only starts on the Patriots. And then for the Colts, you just have to monitor Josh Downs, because he I think he only played like 11 snaps or 11% of snaps, something very low, and it's just not acceptable. So you just can't start him in fantasy until he proves that he gets up to like that 80% of snaps, because that's just too scary.
Yeah, 100%. I think he's kind of been dealing with a little bit of an injury, so hopefully we'll
Yeah.
see a bigger workload coming next week. But yes, definitely monitor what they're doing if he's questionable going into this next week.
Yeah, it's just purely based off injury. He's been an absolute stud, but yeah, we just gotta wait to see when he's fully healthy. But we'll go on to the first of the 1 o'clock games on Sunday. An absolute barn burner electric game. I cannot believe this man right here, number 7 on the Texans, keeps doing it every single week. This man Stroud does some absolute crazy shit, and then he follows it up with the next week with some crazier stuff. It's just insane. Everything he does is insane. The sky's the limit at this point. He surprises us every week, and we were higher on him than just about anyone all season, and he just keeps doing this. It's crazy. It's so fun to watch. Without Nico Collins this week, he does it, and it was beautiful. Devin Singletary had an absolute day on the ground too, and yeah, they got the job done against a good Bengals team that was honestly not playing bad or anything. The Texans are just a playoff team, and they're just a really good football team.
And me and you were too scared to pick him in this game, even though we said it specifically. And you even looked at me and you go, "Really?" You go, "Really? You of all people are not going to take him to win this game?" And I was like, I can't, because I can't get myself to do it. Luam, the coach, I can't say.
Anarumo.
Gonna say the coach's name I can't say on the Bengals defense. Like, he just got the Bengals defense playing too good. Joe Burrow's on fire. But wow, I'll be honest. I mean, CJ Stroud looked better. CJ Stroud looks like the MVP. I'm going to say it right now. I'm going to say CJ Stroud looks like the MVP of the NFL. I don't think there's anyone doing it more consistently, taking care of the football, making more big time throws. And this is a young team. CJ Stroud's out here doing this his first year in the NFL. He's doing this with a young team, and he arguably has the best stats in the NFL. And he's made the Bengals playoff relevant right now, and looking like they might. If right now I'm picking the Bengals to win the South. I think when they go and play Jacksonville, I think they're going to beat them. And I think that I said the Bengals a little bit ago. The Texans, excuse me. I think the Texans are going to win the AFC South. I think they're going to the playoffs, and it's because this man, number 7, right here. And Danny, you kind of in a text sent to a group message we were in, you said number 7 on the Texans looks like Josh Allen minus the boneheaded picks. And that couldn't be any more accurate, because CJ Stroud looks like Josh Allen, just a cleaner version, just like what Josh Allen wants to be. And right now he's my MVP vote, because no one's playing at CJ Stroud's level.
I texted that as like kind of like a joke, and that was kind of before both of the Bills and Texans game played out this weekend. And now it's kind of like Stroud is just above Allen, and Stroud is just the best quarterback in the NFL. Like, the narrative on Stroud just goes up every week. It's insane. Like, the sky truly isn't the limit with this guy. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and I think right now he really should be, him and Lamar Jackson and Tyreek Hill are, I think are the 3, in my opinion, are the 3 MVPs right now. And I think I put CJ Stroud at 1.
Yeah, and it's gonna be fun to watch, just to see who keeps up their form and who keeps it going and finishes with that MVP award. It's been awesome, and I did want to shout out one player on the Bengals, Cam Taylor-Britt. He came up with a huge interception. It's not easy to pick off CJ Stroud, so Cam Taylor-Britt had a huge jump on that pick, and it was a great play by him. So shout out to him. He's had a great season this year. The good young corner out of Nebraska, and yeah, I think that's about it. Tyler Boyd. I did want to shout out Tyler Boyd, actually. He was a beast. He led the team in targets, with Jamar Chase kind of playing injured and still having a day, by the way. Jamar Chase is him. But yeah, Boyd had that unfortunate drop at the very end in the touch. It would have been a game-winning touchdown, but he was also the sole reason that the Bengals were even in scoring position. He got them all the way down there on that last drive. So Bengal fans should chill on Tyler Boyd. He's the reason you guys even were in that position to win.
100%. Tyler Boyd looks like an absolute stud, and he's getting a lot of receptions. He's looking like he's turning into a wide receiver 2, officially, kind of in my opinion, on the Bengals. And then I wanted to just shout out one fantasy player on the Texans, Noah Brown, going out there on catching 7 of his 8 targets for 172 yards. Last week he had caught 6 for 6 for 153 yards. That's back-to-back 150-yard performances. He also caught a touchdown last week. And I know Nico Collins is out and Robert Woods was hurt last week, so it'll be interesting to see what his role is moving forward. But if Noah Brown is still available in your fantasy leagues, go claim him, go throw some fab bucks on him. He's worth the dart throw in this absolutely electric Texans offense.
And not to mention, he pretty much won the game for the Texans on the last drive. He had just a crazy catch and he brought it all the way down. He's a beast. And Tank Dell is a beast. He shouldn't be as good and like durable as he is. He's like made out of platinum for like how short he is. He's crazy. He's a beast. He's a must start every week. And yeah, Noah Brown and Nico Collins, you just kind of have to monitor. Nico Collins a must start every week. And on the Bengals end, you start every Bengal. Obviously, you don't have much to take away there.
No,
except for Irv Smith. Never start Irv Smith ever, ever, ever. I had Kelsey on by and how to do it, and I have PTSD.
A good learning lesson for Dan this week about Irv Smith Jr. Won't do it again.
Never start Irv Smith in fantasy for the rest of the season. I'm telling you all. But we'll get on to the next game. Beat down in Jacksonville. The 49ers went in there and beat the Jaguars 34-3. The 49ers have clearly just missed Trent Williams and Debo. I think it's clear they're back. I don't even think there's much to take away. The 49ers are back. They have their players back, and they look like the exact same team they were the first half of the season. And they added Chase Young to the lineup, and him and Nick Bosa were just having fun out there and just literally just having fun and dominating, laughing, just getting to Trevor, taking turns. It was a domination for the Niners.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what we expected. The Niners got there, get Chase Young. They get Trent Williams, Debo Samuel back. They had a week off of the bye, and it was the 3 straight losses. And this was just a must win, and they proved why they belong in that top 5 conversation. And they did it with a statement win over a hot rolling Jacksonville team. I mean, Jacksonville was absolutely rolling and looking very scary out there. And they didn't even allow a touchdown to Trevor Lawrence or Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk, Calvin Ridley. I mean, this is a really good Jacksonville offense. I mean, for them to shut them out is no slouch. So big statement win from the 49ers. Obviously, Trevor was our goof of the week. The whole Jacksonville team is really our goof of the week. If you had any of them in fantasy, I'm sorry, they didn't get you any points. But on the other side, Brock Purdy distributed the ball, incredible. Almost every Niners option was pretty relevant. Christian McCaffrey, 16 carries, 95 yards with 6 receptions for 47 yards. Just incredible. And one thing I wanted to shout out is, like, it's so funny what George Kittle's able to do on such few receptions. I mean, you'll like see George Kittle's stat. He'll have like 1, 2, 3 receptions, but somehow he manages like 116 yards. I mean, this week, 3 receptions, 116 yards and a touchdown for an average of 38.7 yards a catch it's just incredible. He's one of the best yak guys and just playmakers, from the tight end position. It's just crazy what he's able to do in such a limited amount of catches.
Yeah, he's electric. His touchdown was electric. And yeah, Ayuk was kind of similar too. He only had 3 targets, but he definitely made the most out of it with 55 yards and a touchdown. And yeah, just every 49er option each. It's crazy. They're all insane. They're all very, very startable in fantasy. They're all going to eat. Like, literally everyone scored in this game but McCaffrey. Juszczyk scored, everyone. It was awesome. And then for the Jaguars, I do not want to see Calvin Ridley in anyone's starting lineup. I said that a few weeks ago. I've said that for a few weeks, and you can't start Calvin Ridley anymore. It's bad. It's a disaster. I drafted him in the 3rd round, and that I feel kind of embarrassed for that. Honestly, I was thinking about that this morning. That's genuinely embarrassing. I can't believe that, how bad he's been. And Christian Kirk's been awesome. You start him based off volume, and Etienne, hopefully, Etienne will definitely pick it up. But I think Trevor is a little bit worrisome in fantasy. I really don't think Trevor's a start in fantasy at all. There's a lot better options. You can get a Josh Dobbs or someone like that in fantasy, and yeah, the rest of the options are kind of the same.
Yeah, it kind of seems like Trevor's been playing like point guard this season. Like, he's been distributing, he's been pretty surgical, but he's just not putting up very big fantasy or good numbers. I mean, he's thrown for 2,000 yards, but his 9 touchdown to 6 interception ratio is not very good with a QBR of 55.7. Yeah, I mean, I guess for how good the Jags have been playing the past few weeks, I just kind of it's more just the offensive line and Travis Etienne and this defense being absolutely electric and turning over the ball. And I mean, Trevor's just been playing a good point guard position, getting it done, being somewhat surgical, but he really has not been very electric this season.
Yeah, they definitely need to push things more. Doug Pederson needs to get things going for sure. It'll be interesting to see what they do against a team that's not the Niners. But we'll go on to the next game, an absolutely crazy one in Baltimore. The Browns beat the Ravens 33-31. They came back, and it was a crazy one. That evens things up in the AFC North. The Ravens are 7-3 now. The Browns are 6-3. The Browns have been winning all these games, and they've been playing half their season with backup quarterbacks. And I'm gonna be honest, the Ravens made the NFL Seekers look pretty bad. It was kind of embarrassing. We made them our number one team. Then our power rankings episode that released this weekend, and the next day they go and lose to the Browns. So that was crazy. Made us look a little bit bad, but yeah, disaster start from Deshaun Watson. But I did want to shout out his bounce back. The second half, he was 14 for 14, 134 yards, 16 rushing yards, a touchdown, and obviously the comeback win. So he was definitely more surgical in the second half. The first half was a disastrous first half from him. I will say that. So hopefully Watson can keep that form. He's been so weird, so inconsistent. But yeah, shout out to the Browns. Their Browns defense is just absolutely insane. The best in the NFL. Greg Newsome with the huge pick six. You love to see it. They're balling.
Yeah, in the first quarter of this game, I thought we were looking pretty good. And our power rankings was like, yeah, 17-3. This is going to be a statement win. This is really going to be perfect for what we just did in our podcast and putting them as the number one team after they've just been absolutely rolling and crushing teams. And then, oh man, dude, it all went bad in the second half. And Lamar Jackson kind of came down to earth with 2 interceptions and just didn't look too good and looked uncomfortable. And this Browns defense is just wow, man. I mean, really putting the team on their backs, and Deshaun Watson really coming out in the second half. It's like the Ravens all of a sudden just fell asleep at the wheel, and the Browns capitalized on that and beat them. It was in Baltimore, right?
Yep.
Yeah, beat them in Baltimore. That's a big statement win. High scoring game. I mean, one point or one score game. Just crazy. Definitely made us look bad. so I'm slapping our knees on that one, but oh well, we'll see how we do on our next power rankings.
And then when you go into the fantasy aspect of things, Keaton Mitchell, he gets there with 34 yards and a touchdown, but it was only on 3 carries, so that's a little bit scary. He also had the 1 catch for 32 yards. He's an electric player. He'll get you there in fantasy. And I'm just gonna say right now, before our preview episode, Thursday Night Football, they're playing the Bengals, and I'm telling you guys, start Keaton Mitchell again. He's gonna get more of a workload. Jim Harbaugh already came out and said today that, or did I say Jim Harbaugh? John Harbaugh already said today that they're gonna give him a lot more carries this week. So I would start Keaton Mitchell, and you are kind of happy to see Zay Flowers back to form. He had 2 bad weeks, but he's back to starting contention, and Odell is settling in for real. Like he's 2 touchdowns in 2 weeks in a row, and he looks better. He looks like he's settled in. So you like to see that. And then the last player I want to shout out on the Ravens is Kyle Hamilton. He had that pick, the first touchdown of the day on Sunday, and he straight up looks like Spider-Man. It was just a crazy athletic play. The dude has such long arms. He's so long. And I wanted to shout out Kyle Hamilton because I think his pro comp is like Victor Wembanyama. He's like Wemby of the NFL. So yeah, love that, but they couldn't get the win.
I just want to say something funny. Isn't it weird how similar Jerome Ford and like Nick Chubb are? And like this whole like all of a sudden it's like the Browns backfield last year with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. It's just Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt all of a sudden. Did not expect that midway through this season. Interesting though. Shout out Jerome Ford. He's getting it done through the ground. Amari Cooper looks solid and good. And then other than that, I mean, Elijah Moore did okay this week. I just don't know if he's consistent enough to really want to roster him even. I mean, in deeper leagues, you could probably roster him. I don't know if you're starting him just because the inconsistencies, but Deshaun Watson, though, I mean, good second half. He's just so up and down this season. It's just so hard to know what he's going to do. But yeah, the Browns defensive fantasy, man. You're lucky. You're lucky. They are such an electric defense. And they're probably on the waiver wire for most of the first few weeks.
Yeah, they're the one defense that can allow 31 but still be the highest scoring defense in fantasy because they're just insane playmaking defense. And we'll get on to the next one. The Saints went into Minnesota and lost to the Vikings 27-19. It was the Joshua Dobbs season. It's Joshua Dobbs' sanity right now. It's his world and we're living in it. And yeah, the Vikings are America's team. And something funny, you messed up last week and said Joshua Dubs on accident, like you just mispronounced on an accident. And now, like, it's literally like I see a bunch of tweets of people calling him Joshua Dubs. Like, people are literally coining that nickname that you accidentally call him last week. And you said that you were going to call him that moving forward. So, yeah, Joshua Dubs balled out.
He is Joshua Doves. I mean, this guy can go pull up to any team and just go out there and perform. He really is, like you said, he's just a football player, dude. He just plays hard and he goes out there. And I mean, he looks like he's been playing in the freaking Minnesota Vikings offense for 10 years. And he looks young and he looks electric. And he just the way he runs the ball, it's just so serious. And it's just so like with a purpose, he's out there when he runs the ball, he runs with like I'm going to score, I'm going to make a big play on every single drive, and it is genuinely just so impressive to me. So you just shout out Josh Dobbs. I'm just genuinely just amazed by this guy that he's able to go to two different. I mean, I think they said he's been on 4 different rosters in the calendar year, which is just ridiculous. And yeah, he just looks like he's just right at home. So shout out Joshua Dobbs. He is him.
I have a
And
theory.
yeah, let's hear it.
So you said that he's always just wills his way. He's always running away from people and he never gets caught. I think him wearing that number 15, I think he has that Mahomes trait. I think he just has that trait where he's just faster than everyone that's running for him. He's just barely faster than everyone chasing him.
Yeah, I mean, he runs with a purpose, and like it is like that Mahomes like elusive. Like Mahomes is not very fast in all reality, and he doesn't like look super athletic compared to like a Lamar Jackson, but like when big plays are needed, their ability to move with their legs is just like none other, and just to pick up big plays. And so I mean, Josh Dobbs, excuse me, Josh Dubs, just an absolute baller out there. And the Vikings are so lucky to be able to get him, and were smart enough to go and trade for him when Kirk Cousins went down. And he adds a different, like I said last week, he adds a different element to this team that a lot of other teams haven't seen. And the Vikings are looking like they're going to be in the playoffs. And Josh Dobbs, I'm confident they could even make a run.
And let's get into the fantasy aspect of things here. So Derek Carr did go down. It's looking like he might not miss time because there is a bye week this week, unfortunately, for the Saints. But I got a cute stat for you, Stores. I wanted you to hear this. The Chris Olave with Derek Carr, he had 1 target for 15 yards in 37 minutes of the football game. And then Chris Olave with Jameis Winston, he had 9 targets for 79. Oh, sorry. He had 9 targets for 7 catches, 79 yards, a touchdown in 20 minutes, plus a 24-yard catch called back to penalty. So, yeah, just Jameis Winston, you could see it when he goes in there. He's literally he doesn't look for the defenders. He just slings it wherever he wants to. He does not care, and it's so good for fantasy. You would love Jameis for fantasy. Hopefully he can get some time in there. And Chris Olave got there because of Jameis, and Kamara had a good game. He kind of got there at the end. And on the Vikings side of things, you got Ty Chandler out carrying Alexander Madison. So there's that. Ty Chandler got the touchdown as well. So definitely go pick up Ty Chandler in all your leagues. And TJ Hawkinson is the best player in the league. He 15 targets, 11 catches, 134 yards, and a touchdown. Josh Dobbs looked at him like every single play. You pretty much got a league winner in Hawkinson.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna go back to that Chris Olave. I'm sorry for anyone that owns Chris Olave and has to watch Derek Carr, aka Check Down Carr. It is just brutal. And then we want Jameis. We want Jameis in there. That's just us Olave managers. We want Jameis. We love to see it. He gets the ball down the field. I don't care about the interceptions. The freaking Saints hadn't scored all game, and Jameis gets them back in it and gives them a chance and hope, because Jameis he just goes out there and he throws the ball. He gets the ball downfield. He makes electric plays, It's YOLO ball. You only live once, Jameis. Get out there, go make a play, put the team on your back. If you make an interception, who cares? Who cares? Who cares at this point? You guys are already down 24-0 or 24-3 at this point. Go out there, make some plays, get it to your best receiver. And I mean, at this point, if I'm the Saints, I am going with Jameis. I think check down Carr looks scared out there. He's just not electric enough, and the Saints aren't going to go far with Derek Carr. You kind of know what you got with Derek Carr when you saw him on the Raiders, and that's about the best you're going to see and what he's done so far. So just get us Jameis. It adds a little bit more excitement, and we love to see it for fantasy reasons too.
Yeah, definitely would benefit for fantasy reasons. Monitor that for the bye week for the Saints. And I did want to say the Vikings play the Broncos on Sunday Night Football next week, so that'll be interesting. Two teams coming off some wins. Josh Dobbs on Sunday night, that'll be fun, and Justin Jefferson should be back, so that's absolutely huge for fantasy owners. And with that, we'll go on to the next game. The Packers go into Pittsburgh and lose to the Steelers 23-19, and the Steelers just kind of won this one through the run game. They absolutely dominated on the ground. Jalen Ward 15 carries for 101 yards and a touchdown, and Najee Harris 16 carries for 82 yards and a touchdown. So they both really got things going on the ground game. It really helped the Steelers, and their defense really sealed things up. They won them this game on the Patrick Peterson made this great play right here and tipped it up for the pick. Christian Watson had a pretty rough game. He's not really looking like a great alpha receiver that some people thought he was. That's interesting. Yeah, the Steelers did have a really, really good game at home, and their defense came away with the win.
Yeah. Again, another slugfest of a game, which we kind of expected it to be. Definitely. I mean, it was a little higher scoring than honestly I thought it was gonna be. I didn't think it'd be 24-19. I thought it'd be more like 15-6. But it was a slugfest, pretty boring game. Somehow the Steelers are 6-3. I don't know how. They just, like we said, Mike Tomlin, as we predicted in the preview, will just find a way to win this game. And like we said, he could win this game with me and Danny playing quarterback and wide receiver. He would find a way. And so that's what he did, and that's what this game was. And like you said, they got it down through the ground. Jalen Warren and Najee Harris are just a perfectly split running back by committee at this point. However, they are both doing decently good. Both of them getting it done on the ground and both getting a touchdown and both having over 5 yards of carry. So, I mean, that's fantastic. So their run defense is starting to come together. So you love to see that as one of their fantasy managers.
Yep, and going into the fantasy side of things, you've got AJ Dillon getting 70 yards on 9 carries because he got that long 40-yard run, and Aaron Jones had a rough day on the ground. He was only 35 yards on 13 carries, but he kind of got saved by having 6 targets in the receiving game. But yeah, for the Packers, like, it's so scary other than Aaron Jones to start anyone. They're kind of like a mini Chiefs, just with less points scored and less electricity. Like they just spread the ball around with so many people. Jaden Reed and Dontavion Wicks both getting involved, rookies. So just a lot of mouths to feed here in Green Bay. I don't really love that. And when you go into the Steelers side of things, Deontay Johnson, 1 catch for 17 yards. That's concerning considering the last 3 weeks he's been back. That's very interesting for like start-sit decisions. That's a little bit scary. And George Pickens gets a little bit back, 3 catches for 45 yards, better than last week, I guess. And yeah, those 2 running backs are starts moving forward for the Steelers.
Connor Hayward outperformed Deontay Johnson this week, so that just has anything to do. That's just to tie a knot on the bow right there. Brutal week from Deontay Johnson. But yeah, this Packers team is just, oh yeah. I mean, you have 8 different receivers getting targets. And just, yeah, they distribute the ball a ton, and it's just not a lot of really good options. No one you really feel comfortable with. And Christian Watson just looking like an absolute fumbler at this point, in my opinion. Just if you did pick him, he's a bust of a pick. I don't think you can start him at this point. He's not consistent enough. He's not getting open. Jordan Love and him just don't have that connection it looked like they did at the end of last year. And it's just no confidence in any of the Packers receivers. At this point, you're just starting Aaron Jones and hoping he gets into the end zone and gets some receptions.
Yeah, I think Watson was a bust in fantasy weeks ago. I think we're starting to get into the categories if Christian Watson is a bust in real life. I don't know if he's like a real starting wide receiver at this point. He's just like kind of a gadget guy. It's interesting, man, for his outlook.
Yeah, I think he's a bust on the Packers. I'll say that. Christian Watson might need a new home in real football to revive his career, but it doesn't look like it's going anywhere in Green Bay.
That's fair. And Jordan Love didn't have the worst game. He had some good plays. He made some good throws, but the two picks were some bad picks, and they ultimately did lose him this game. So you can't be too happy with that performance.
No, Jordan Love really is struggling this year. A lot of boneheaded plays. I don't know. It's just the culture of the Packers. I think I've said the last few weeks. There's just no identity to this team. There's just no identity. I can't figure it out. There's definitely no identity on offense, and so at this point, you can kind of write the season goodbye. It just doesn't look like it's heading in the right direction at all.
Definitely. We'll get on to the next game. The Titans go into Tampa and lose to the Buccaneers 20-6. And shout out to Baker Mayfield. He's been balling. He's had really just a good season. He's been playing good all year consistently. And he had 278 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick in this one. And I did want to shout out Mike Evans. His touchdown was just a manly touchdown. He just muscled everyone and willed his way into the end zone. And he had 6 catches, 143 yards, and a touchdown. So great performance from him. I know Godwin was a little ill, so he wasn't fully participating in this one. And Rachaad White is just an absolute stud. He gets that 43-yard receiving touchdown, and he's just an absolute star in fantasy moving forward. You love that for the Bucs, and they're playing some good football. They're competitive right now.
Yeah, and then on the other side of the ball, I mean, just the Titans falling asleep at the wheel, and Will Levis really struggling. I mean, just 19 for 39, 199 yards and a pick. Just really no movement. Just a very stagnant. They couldn't really find their identity through the run game. Derrick Henry struggled. 11 carries for 24 yards, 2.2 yards a carry. Just not getting it done. And all of a sudden, the Will Levis hype is dying right now. He's definitely in a slump from the beginning of his career. So we're waiting on the Titans to have a little bit of a resurgence, bounce back. But I mean, they have absolutely fallen asleep at the wheel right now and just don't look good on really any side of the ball. And another team with no identity at the moment. So just trying to figure that out. DeAndre Hopkins. All I gotta say is, Dan, you're just trading all your fantasy players at the right time. Selling DeAndre Hopkins high, selling Adam Thielen high. I mean, you're
Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley high. I mean, props to you, Dan. I can't say I could have foreseen every single one of these being successful for you, but that's 3 times you've sold receivers at the right time.
It's the Dan curse at this point, man. It's only explanation. But yeah, I did want to say, like, Will Levis didn't really look. It's kind of scary. I don't know. I'm not like scared about Will Levis, but he didn't look great. The Titans offense was just too stagnant. There wasn't anything getting going. I don't know if the Buccaneers defense was just really feeling themselves because they were dominating. Vita Vea had like the easiest sack of his life off the edge. Like the Titans offensive line was struggling. Vita Vea had an edge rush sack. So yeah, just interesting stuff. The Buccaneers really dominated, honestly. And Derrick Henry did get out snapped by Tyjae Spears again because it's just one of those games where the Titans are down and they have to pass every play.
Yeah, and I was you hit the nail on the head with that one. The Buccaneers defense just was feeling themselves this game. So I mean, whether it's Will Levis struggling or just the Buccaneers having a really good game, I mean, we can't take away the fact the Buccaneers did just feel themselves and they really asserted themselves and dominated this one.
And with that, we'll get on to a game that I really am excited to talk about. One of the more exciting games for me to watch. Like honestly, the last decade of watching football, this is just a really fun game to watch. A football. It was such a great game. I loved it, and yeah, just what a game. They both match up like perfectly against each other. It was just complete popcorn, and I did want to shout out David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. They have to be the best running back duo I've ever seen. That was crazy. They really sparked things for this Lions team literally from the very jump. So yeah, shout out to them. Montgomery was absolutely electric. I don't know if he took a few weeks off to like install jetpacks into his legs or what was going on, but he was explosive as hell. And it was kind of ironic that he was kind of like their explosive, electric back, getting the 75-yard touchdown. He's our spark plug. And then Jameer Gibbs was getting the goal line carries and getting the goal line touchdown. So yeah, shout out to the Lions running backs, and just an electric football game. Justin Herbert, Jared Goff dueling, and just a high scoring back and forth battle.
Yeah, I mean, this game was just an offensive masterclass by both sides of the ball, and then just a defensive snooze fest. I mean, it looks like the defenses took the day off, and the offenses were hard at work in this one. And this is a game that me and you both did predict the Lions to win, which ultimately they did. I didn't realize it was going to be this high scoring and this electric of a game. I mean, we're talking about let me tell you, the Lions had 23 first downs. The Chargers had 24 first downs. And this is 47 first downs in a game. Let me tell you some more stats. Total yards by each team. The Lions had 533. The Chargers had 421. You have over 950 yards of offense in this one. Let's see, yards per play from the Lions, 8.3 and 6.2 from the Chargers. I mean, from the Lions, passing yards, 333, the Chargers, 323. Rushing from the Lions, 200, 100 from the Chargers. I mean, just a very, very good electric game. And both the offenses were nearly even. I mean, time of possession for the Lions was 30 minutes and 34 seconds. Time of possession for the Chargers was 29 minutes and 26 seconds. So, I mean, it was just crazy. I mean, I know the Chargers, I could probably tell you the Lions probably had the same, if not better, but the Chargers scored on a touchdown on their final 5 drives of the game and still lost. That just tells you the Lions were really feeling themselves. It seems like there's nothing Ben Johnson couldn't dial up that wasn't working. Amon-Ra St. Brown was eating. And like you said, like David Montgomery all of a sudden just turned into this alpha after being hurt and taking a couple of weeks off. All of a sudden, it just looked like there was, rockets attached to his legs. But yeah, an absolutely electric game. Obviously, I'm sad to see my Chargers follow the Lions, but Lions looking like one of the better teams in the NFL right now at 7-2. Just an overall a fantastic offensive football game, and it was fun to watch.
Yeah, someone that had no loyalties in this game, and all those stats that you read off is just the exact reason why this was literally one of the more fun games I can remember watching. It was just so fun, and I feel like speaking more about these running backs, they really did take over the game. I feel like the game was won when at the beginning of the game when the Lions went for that 4th and 6 and David Montgomery just trucked his way for that first down. I feel like that was Dan Campbell just asserting his dominance, saying that I'm going to go for it on 4th down every single play, and we're just going to run it and assert our dominance. And that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, they were definitely, I mean, the Lions went a total of 5 4th downs and got 4 conversions on them. So just really good. I mean, even the Chargers went for it on 4th down, and they were a perfect 3 for 3. I mean, it was just a heck of an offensive battle from these two teams. Obviously, the Chargers end up falling short, and ultimately, right at the end of the game, it's you get the Lions in a 3rd and 14 situation. Here's a good opportunity. Give them a couple of yards, let them kick the field goal, give yourself an opportunity. You've scored on the last 5 drives. Let's maybe get this thing to overtime or win the game. But the Lions ultimately, like you said, they went for it earlier on 4th down, 4th and 6, ran the ball to David Montgomery and just asserted their dominance. And they actually did a play called that Ben Johnson learned from the Jaguars called the what was it called? I read it earlier. It was the Charger Killer or something. It was the same play that Travis Etienne ran against the Chargers in the playoff game that ultimately lost the Chargers the game, and they did the exact same play, a run on 4th down twice, ended the Chargers right there.
No
And
way. I did not know that. That's hilarious.
I think it was a funny name. I should have screenshot it. It was like the Chargers implosion or something. It was funny. It was a hilarious name. I can't remember. It's better than what I'm saying. But they ran the ball, 2 times on 4th down and just asserted their dominance, and it shows why the Lions are one of the better teams in the NFL.
And shout out to the Chargers. Like they lost by 3 in a coin flip of a game. It was a true coin flip of a game. Whoever had the ball last, and in a game that the teams had the ball very quick because they were scoring so quick. It was a crazy game, and I did want to shout out like Keenan Allen, our stud of the week. He's so damn smooth. He's an absolute legend. He's just like that touchdown that got him tied up at the end. That was just a legendary touchdown. That's like Keenan Allen stuff, vintage Keenan Allen. And Austin Eckler also had 67 yards and a touchdown and 48 receiving yards as well. So they literally almost accounted for 300 yards themselves. And then Justin Herbert was 27 for 40, 323 yards, 4 touchdowns and a pick. So he also was very great himself.
Yeah, just an off, from both sides, offensive brilliancy. Ben Johnson and Kellen Moore definitely might be head coaches next year. Probably both will be. I don't know if Kellen Moore stays another year at the Chargers, but Ben Johnson, look for him to be the top head coaching candidate going into 2024.
All right, and with that, we'll get on to the next game. The Falcons went into Arizona and lost to the Cardinals 25-23 in a close one. And Kyler's back. It feels good. A big Kyler guy. He's definitely one of the more underrated. Actually, he's the most underrated player in the league. I'm saying he's easily the most underrated player in the league. He has a crazy narrative around him, and he's just a baller. He's a gamer. He runs around like crazy. He was running for his life all game and evading pressure, making some really good plays. He had a nice rushing touchdown to spark things. And yeah, he just a really good player, and he keeps these Cardinals in the game. And yeah, I'm really, really excited that he's back. He's one of the more fun players in the whole league to watch. So love that. James Conner, also back from injury, had a pretty good performance. And Trey McBride, I wanted to shout him out. 8 receptions, 131 yards for Trey McBride. So you love to see that. He's their new future tight end, and that's big for the Cardinals.
Yeah, it's good to see, Kyler Murray on Call of Duty weekend getting a win, ending that narrative. If he would have lost, it probably would have sparked flames on that side of things, which just would have been crazy if that just kept going. Because I think it's like, what is it, like 4 straight years or something of Call of Duty dropping and Kyler Murray losing the weekend after. So shout out to Kyler Murray not losing on Call of Duty weekend. Absolutely huge for him. But yeah, like you said, this guy might be one of the most disrespected quarterbacks in the NFL for absolutely no reason. He just goes out there and he performs, and he puts this Cardinals team on his back, and a very not good Cardinals team, to be honest with you, not a lot of talent. And he goes out there and he beats a good Atlanta defense. And it's good to see Kyler Murray back. I'm happy. I'm happy for him. I'm happy he got a big statement win right here. And yeah, it was good. It was good to see him and James Conner back out there. And then on the other side of the ball, the Falcons, an absolute quarterback mess, I'll say. Even though I think Taylor Heineke is substantially better than Desmond Ridder. I don't even know why Desmond Ridder even got to get a snap in this game, but he ended up throwing the ball 6 times. But yeah, Desmond Ridder probably should go to the CFL at this point, in my opinion. I think we're done with him. But one shout out, Arthur Smith finally gave Bijan his first carry within 5 yards of the goal line, and Bijan scored. Imagine that. And I think, Dan, you got a funny stat or something to share with us, right?
What is it?
It was the one. It was the metric, or it was
yeah. I just know that yeah, because Arthur Smith always rants about Bijan's just not being efficient inside the 5-yard line, and Tyler Algier is the best goal line back in the league, but Tyler Algier actually has like a 21% conversion rate of short yardage runs, and Bijan has like the highest in the league at like 62%. So yeah, that whole narrative was just crazy. And yeah, Bijan Robinson in his hometown, Arizona, he had his whole family at the game, and yeah, getting that 22 carries, 95 yards and a touchdown. That is like, I'm confidently telling people to go trade for Bijan in fantasy now. I think you can be very confident in him moving forward, and he's going to be a big piece by fantasy playoffs.
Yeah, it was just good to see. I mean, he only had 1 reception for 11 yards to the air. But yeah, I mean, the 22 carries for 95 yards, and he's just very efficient, 4.3 yards, and he gets in the end zone when he gets those just short yardage situations. And it was finally, what are we, week 10 in the NFL, week 11? I can't even remember at this point. But week 10 in the NFL, and Bijan got his first goal line carry. It's a
Massive.
terrible offense, but I did just read an article that the management and the owners feel confident in keeping Arthur Smith through 2024. So for you Falcons fans, I am very sorry.
Yeah, for you Falcons fantasy owners, I'm very sorry, but we'll get on to the next game. The Giants went into Dallas and lost to the Cowboys 49-17. That's it. No, no, I'm kidding. But yeah, Dak is absolutely amazing. He's feeling himself right now, and he's kind of that man. He's playing really good football, and that Dak and CD connection is kind of at the top of the NFL right now. They really are. They're playing some great football, and in terms of dominant duos, I think they're right up there. They're playing some awesome football. And the only takeaway for the Giants is it's just Saquon or nothing. It's all Saquon. That's the only person they'll hand it off to or throw it to, and it's so hard because the defense knows that, so he can't get anything going. And I'm going to call the line of scrimmage the line of Saquon for now on, because it's just like it's crazy. Their whole offense revolves around it. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Saquon is the offense. I mean, right now, well, it's the Tommy DeVito show. It's just kind of funny. The Giants, obviously, we can't take them seriously until Tommy DeVito is not their starting quarterback. The scores will probably be looking like this pretty consistently until that changes. And just an absolute meltdown of a season for Brian Dable. Not really sure what's happened to the Giants. Don't feel like they really got worse over the offseason, but going 2-8 through your first 10 games is really brutal, and losing to a division opponent by this big of a by 32 points, or excuse me. Oh yeah, no, by 32 points. You lost to a division opponent by just something needs to change. The culture's lost. Obviously, you have Tommy DeVito starting, but even that, you still shouldn't lose by 32 points.
And then the only fantasy question in this one I have for you is it time to panic with Pollard? I mean, he's now gone 30 quarters in a row without scoring a touchdown, and he isn't exactly looking like a good running back out there. It's kind of weird. Are you panicking with him, or?
Yes, considering Rico Dodell outperformed him this week, I am hitting the panic a little bit. Tony Pollard just absolutely, very underwhelming from what we thought we'd see from him this season. I mean, he only got in the end zone twice, and that was week 1 against the Giants. And he has not scored a touchdown since, and he really has not been too big through the passing game either. He really hasn't been a reception guy. So I am hitting the panic button with Tony Pollard. I just don't really understand the usage. Obviously, the way Kellen Moore had him and Ezekiel Elliott back there as a running back tandem was brilliant. But yeah, Tony Pollard is definitely taking a step back.
Yeah, it's interesting. I just think you have to monitor it. I wouldn't say to like bench him yet. I mean, you could
No.
though if you had like Achan. If you had Achan, I'd bench him, and like I would maybe try to trade him off name value. I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely weird from what we thought we'd see from him, and he's just absolutely irrelevant in the pass game, which is one of his biggest attributes, and one of his biggest strengths was him in the screen game and him getting open down the field, and it's just they've taken that part away from his game, which just seemed to be the most versatile, best part of his game, and they've just completely erased it from the playbook.
Definitely. It'll be interesting to see how he does. But we'll get on to the next game. The Commanders went into Seattle and lost to the Seahawks by 3, 29-26. And this was a really low scoring game until that fourth quarter. Things kind of lit up and both teams scored a few touchdowns. And I wanted to just read off both quarterback stats. Sam Howell, 29 for 44, 312 yards, 3 touchdowns. Geno Smith, 31 for 47, 369 yards, 2 touchdowns. So both were slinging things in that fourth quarter. That was like most of those yardage were all in the fourth quarter. So it was an electric fourth quarter. Kenneth Walker had a nice long receiving play. And it's kind of interesting that Brian Robinson and Antonio Gibson were like the Commanders' leading receivers in this game. They were just targeting anyone but Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson. They just didn't want to go to their main receivers for some reason.
Yeah, I'm gonna count how many different receivers got looks. So 1, 2, 3, 4,
I
5,
mean, let's
6.
just read it off. Like Brian Robinson had 6 receptions, 119 yards, 1 touchdown. Am I reading Jahan Dotson or is that Brian
Jahan
Robinson?
Dotson has a 0 receptions for a 0 yards.
And then, yeah, Gibson also is the second leading receiver, another running back, 5 catches, 42 yards, another touchdown. And then Diami Brown, Sam Howell's college teammate, was the only receiver up there with 2 catches, 41 yards. And Terry McLaurin finished with 4 catches, 33 yards, but I think he only had 1 catch for 10 yards until like their last drive. So,
Yes. But I mean, 11 different receivers got looks. So yeah, Sam Howell threw it to 11 different people, which from a non-fantasy aspect is great. You love to see that. You love to see a quarterback that can distribute the ball evenly, get it around. But yeah, I mean, just super weird. I mean, Brian Robinson, what a game from him. I mean, that's 6 receptions for 119 yards and a touchdown is just crazy. I mean, yeah, it was a running back receiving game in this one for the Commanders. Sorry, the Redskins this week. However, I did expect them to lose to Seattle. Good game from Seattle, good little bounce back game from their embarrassing loss to the Ravens. Kenneth Walker, what are we thinking about him? He was I mean, other than his big receiving touchdown, um, through the first few quarters, he was pretty much irrelevant. I mean, he did end up finishing okay with 19 carries for 63 yards. But almost looked like in the first quarter, they're leaning more Charbonnet, who is definitely more efficient on the ground.
yeah, Charbonnet was out there a lot, a lot. I would definitely pick up Charbonnet if you can. I would target Charbonnet because he's out there a lot. He looks pretty good. I was actually impressed by Charbonnet in this game specifically. And yeah, it is scary. Like Walker got completely saved by that touchdown. If that was at the very end, and if that wasn't there, he had a complete dud performance. So that's definitely scary. And I mean, I could definitely look to sell Kenneth Walker if I was a Kenneth Walker owner right now.
100%. Yeah, it looks like his volume is going down. It looks like Zach Charbonnet is getting on the field a little bit more. But I do want to shout out Geno Smith. I really love the way they distributed the ball this week. I mean, DK was involved, 7 receptions, 98 yards. Tyler Lockett, 8 receptions, 92 yards, a touchdown. And then Jackson, they're for their top three receivers, Jackson Smith and Jigba, 4 receptions, 53 yards, 13.2 yards average. I absolutely love that. I love the way they were able to get all three of them involved, and we're all very relevant in this game.
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully they keep that spread around. All three were very relevant in fantasy, and yeah, I'm happy DK had that big game. He had that big play to win it for them essentially, and yeah, great game, great huge high scoring game in Seattle, like we predicted, like we told you guys to target in fantasy and your underdog slips. But we'll get on to the Sunday night game. The New York Jets went into Las Vegas and lost to the Raiders 16-12. And like I said in my preview, I picked the Jets, and I said if their quarterback loses to Aiden O'Connell, then they've got to do something, and they're not going to do something, obviously. But yeah, it was just a field goal fest on Sunday Night Football. Greg Zuerlein and Daniel Carlson had a day. Devontae Adams had his best game in honestly like a month or so. He looked like he was more motivated to play against Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, probably his future teammates. And yeah, good job by Aiden O'Connell. I honestly like watching. He doesn't really impressed me too much, but he's 2-0, so I can't say too much about him, I guess.
Yeah, no, Aiden O'Connell definitely did enough to get the win against a very, very, very difficult Jets defense. He actually went out there and he played serviceable football, and it was good enough to win. And he actually got in the end zone. The Jets obviously have very, very struggled. They can't seem to score. Their offense is just non-existent. They have now gone 2 straight games without a touchdown. And then the last time they scored a touchdown was 12 quarters ago in the first quarter against the New York Giants. And yeah, I mean, the Jets defense, when you're holding teams to 16, 19, 10 points a game, you expect to have better numbers. But I mean, their offense is just absolutely horrendous. It's so horrible. It's brutal to watch. I mean, let me just read you a stat from that I saw today. So the Jets quarterback Zach Wilson has thrown a touchdown on just 20 of his 931 career passes. and that which makes his 2.1 touchdown rate the lowest in NFL history among quarterbacks with at least 900 passes. So he is the worst quarterback in the history of the NFL at scoring.
Not great.
No, not a good category you want to be in, but I mean, the Jets will continue to start him moving forward. They don't look to change him, and I think we'll just be seeing the same results week to week. And there's probably not much more to talk about it from the Jets standpoint.
Yeah, I think when people hear me say that I want Trevor Siemian, I think they might think that I'm like just trying to be rude or something. But genuinely, I watched years of Trevor Siemian playing football for the Broncos. He made Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders very serviceable for years after the Broncos won that Super Bowl. They were in games with some really good football teams, and I think that he could maybe do that with Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson and a really, really good defense he has over here. It's kind of similar to those post Super Bowl Broncos teams that he had success with, and he was in the playoff race with. So I don't know. I just think that Siemian, why not try him out? I don't think you really have an excuse to not try him out at this point. Like we said in our preview episode, if you lose to Aiden O'Connell, you don't really have an excuse. But I guess Salah always does.
Yeah, Solid just I don't know. He's just an apologist out there, and it's I don't know. It's just like I said from week one, the definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Jets have been doing it now for a couple of seasons. Obviously, they tried to change it up with Aaron Rodgers, but that lasted a total of 4 plays, and they have not been able to pivot successfully in 10 weeks. So, ultimately got to blame Joe Douglas, Robert Saleh, the owners for not admitting that they were wrong on their number 2 overall pick, and not just being able to move on.
Yeah, and let's just get on to a much more upbeat, less depressing game. The Broncos went into Buffalo tonight and beat the Bills 24-22 on Monday Night Football on the road. Just absolutely electric. A great performance by Russell Wilson. He outplayed the other quarterback in this game, Josh Allen. He played truly flawless football. He might have had a perfect game. I'm being completely honest. He might have pitched a completely perfect game out there. He was awesome. He maybe took like 1 or 2 sacks, but other than that, he was evading sacks, getting pitches off to P. Ryan, just brilliant plays. He was really trying really hard out there. He was prime Russ. He was really vintage Russ. And I feel like there's so much to unpack in this game. There was a lot that went on. There was a lot that went on at the end of that game. I will say Jerry Jeudy won that game for the Broncos by beating Taron Johnson so bad on that last penalty where they got that field goal. And I will say that Ryan Clark needs to be fired off of ESPN. He needs to not be on TV because he's just a biased former DB for saying that wasn't a penalty, because it was maybe the most clear holding I've ever seen. Jeudy completely beat Taron Johnson off the line, and Russ saw it immediately and just threw it up because he knew if he didn't catch it, it would be a flag. And he got completely beat, and he did all he could to make sure that it wasn't a catch and it was a flag. And yeah, so that was a flag. That's one thing I wanted to unpack. Ryan Clark is not great. And yeah, I did want to respect the Broncos defense. They had 8 takeaways in the last 6 quarters against the Chiefs and Bills, against Mahomes and Josh Allen. So the Broncos defense has just completely done a 180, 360, and they're just awesome. They're 2022 Broncos defense. They've been honestly like dominant with Browning and Justin Simmons coming back. They're just creating turnovers. They're bending, not breaking, and they're awesome on their wrong side of the 50. And last shout out was Cortland Sutton. He had a great toe tap touchdown. Literally, like, it might have been the best catch I've ever seen. I'm going to be completely honest. It was literally the closest toe tap you could have ever had, and it was in the back of the end zone. The ball was like 5 yards out of bounds, and his arms were catching it as he was getting it. It was a ridiculous catch, and Russ made a fantastic masterclass of a play to even get that throw off. So just a great play. They both balled, and the Broncos came out and did their thing.
Yeah, I mean, this is one that me and you were talking about, and we were really, really stressing that this feels like a game that the Broncos are kind of come out here and win. And did you end up taking the Broncos in this one? I know I didn't. Okay, yeah. Again, like we said with the Texans, we're very just talking ourselves into picking the Texans and the Broncos to win. And at the end of the day, we just did not do it for whatever reason, even though our hearts told us to do it, but our guts were just like, nope. So I mean, we should have we should have taken them to win. Sorry, Broncos. Sorry, Texans. We should have believed in you a little bit more. But yeah, it did feel like a game of the Broncos were going to come out here and just upset Josh Allen and make him uncomfortable. And that's exactly what they did. It was another Josh Allen kind of careless, not careless, but I mean, another 2 interception game from Josh Allen. Only 177 yards to the air. So I mean, the Broncos defense was just absolutely cooking him, making him uncomfortable. I mean, it was just an uncomfortable game for the Bills. And I don't know if are we hitting the panic on the Bills at 5-5 now?
Josh Allen has thrown for the most interceptions in the NFL with 10, tied with Mac Jones and Jordan Love. I just wanted to read that stat to answer your question. Allen has thrown an interception in 6 straight games, the longest streak in the league, 13 turnovers, the most in the league. And yeah, I think you are panicking because you're 5-5.
Oh, sorry, Dan, you're 1 interception short, 11 counting tonight. Or
Wow.
2 more. Yeah, sorry, 11 interceptions on the season.
That's just, yeah, he's leading the league then, and yeah, 5-5 record. I just think in this AFC, that's not gonna get it done. I think they might be in big trouble at this point.
Yeah, I think I'm hitting their run game outside of that one big run by James Cook. It just does not have an identity. They're struggling to get it done. I mean, given Pat Surtain, one of the best corners in the NFL, absolutely just made Stephon Diggs irrelevant tonight, which is mainly, I mean, the Bills' biggest offensive weapon. It just, usually carries them to wins in games. And, I don't know. I think I am. I mean, I think with Josh Allen playing the type of football he's playing, I have not been impressed. I've not been impressed by Sean McDermott and the game plans they've been coming up with. And Matt Milano takes a huge just piece of their defense and just ripped it away when he got hurt. So yeah, I think I am panicking. I'm officially hitting the panic on the Bills, and they're slowly working themselves out of playoff contention. I think their playoff percentages went down to it was like a 48 to 23 now.
Yep.
So now they're working on their way up to the playoffs. So that they got a mountain to climb, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, I think it's 21% odds, and I think the team that completely just took their odds is the Texans. I think they've completely swapped with the Texans, and it's crazy. I think they're going to take their playoff spot. And when you go to fantasy, Javonte has another great game, 21 carries for 79 yards. He gets a receiving touchdown. So Javonte's awesome. He's a must start moving forward. Cortland Sutton's kind of a must start moving forward. He's a touchdown machine. Judy isn't a start. He just doesn't get volume. And that Stephon Diggs, I was definitely telling people to not bet on Stephon Diggs this week because, like we saw, Patrick Surtain literally he just shuts down a whole half of the field, and every time that, honestly, every single play, Stephon Diggs is Josh Allen's first read, and every single time Josh Allen looked at Stephon Diggs and saw number 2 Patrick Surtain on him, he looked away immediately. So that just shows how he was. They kind of made a good adjustment to start the second half. They immediately moved Stephon Diggs away from Surtain, and he had a good catch, and that was pretty much all of his yards this game. So it was a complete domination from Surtain. Shout out to him. Shout out to Simmons for getting another pick. Just great stuff from the Broncos team.
Yeah, shout out to the Broncos for having a little mid-season resurgence right here. Russell Wilson's really playing some good football right now. He's getting it done through the air. Compared to Josh Allen, Russell Wilson has 18 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. Josh Allen, 19 touchdowns to 11 interceptions. Russell Wilson's playing better football, honestly. He's taking care of the ball better. And maybe Josh Allen needs to take a look at Russell Wilson and say, wow, this guy's playing good football. He's not turning over the ball. He's not putting his team in a position to lose. And yeah, Russell Wilson really is playing good football this season. And the Broncos look like they're, sneakily, because the AFC is so close and there's so many teams right around that 500 mark. It's really just a foot race for who's going to finish out the season strongest. And the Broncos at 4-5 are in the midst of a true wild card spot, along with the Chargers, Bills, Steelers, Texans. I mean, it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. And these teams are a lot closer than you think. So, teams even with not quite a 500 record who can win out, only lose a couple more games, might be making the playoffs. So the Broncos could, it's time to start thinking about the Broncos and the playoffs because they could sneak themselves into a wild card spot.
Yeah, big shout out for Sean Payton and Vance Joseph. They've really, really figured things out and got them to that spot. And yeah, shout out to Russell Wilson. He did play a perfect game. He completely outplayed Josh Allen. He had the 30 rushing yards. That's what Josh Allen's supposed to do. And Josh Allen had zero effect on the run game. And I mean, if you just watch the game, statistically, it didn't even look anything crazy for Russell Wilson. But if you just watch the game, he literally was perfect every single play. He just made great plays, and he just made plays that he probably shouldn't have to with a lot of pressure. So yeah, just great game. Really, really fun going all over all these games. It was a crazy week, a lot of close, high scoring games. Yeah, a lot of fun going over week 10 with you. Thanks for joining, Josh.
Yes, it was a good one. These next coming weeks are going to be very, very vital, pivotal for these teams. I mean, it is an absolute foot race to the finish line. So many teams with that, a little under 500, right at 500. And I'm looking forward to these final 8 weeks of football, and seeing who the really strong teams are and who can finish out a season.
Yeah, we're at the point of the season where the strong teams are going to start to separate themselves from the packs, and everyone else is going to not. But thanks for tuning in. Like, subscribe if you liked, and yeah, peace.
Sir, peace.